It's Bernard. So this is a TED Talk featuring Adam Poswolsky, and he wrote a book called The Quarter Life Crisis. And I kind of was going through one, and I found his book to be incredibly relatable. His TED Talk was amazing, which kind of led me to get the book. And yeah, like he's very switched on, and he's just shining a light on something I feel a lot of young people go through. I think we've kind of been lied to. You know, society tells us you got to work hard, you got to go to a good university, college, you got to get a well-paid job, and then you kind of get all those things, and it's kind of a bit like, nah. Is this making me happy? Is this fulfilling? Is this what I want to be doing? And I was doing what I wanted, but you know, and I liked what I was doing, but I felt like there needed to be changes. I needed to do something different. I needed to like take a risk to find something that was a little bit more fulfilling. And this is exactly what he talks about. And I really hope it does for you what it did to me.
I did everything I was supposed to do. I got good grades in high school, I took AP classes, I went to a good college, I got a great job. I climbed the career ladder. On paper, I had it all. I was making $70,000 a year at the age of 28. I was working for the federal government. I had health care, I had benefits, I had job security. You literally can't get fired from working for the government. Trust me, there are people that should. My parents were impressed. My friends were impressed. My boss told me I was doing a great job. I go to happy hour and tell everyone I was the special assistant to the director of global operations at the US Peace Corps, and everyone thought that was so cool. They asked for my business card. I got to sit in on meetings at the White House. Everything was perfect about my job, except for one tiny, kind of important thing. I was miserable. And it was only when I met other young people going through the exact same thing I was that I was able to turn my quarter-life crisis into a breakthrough. So the first lesson I learned, find believers. Surround yourself with people that believe in the beauty of their dreams. 70% of Americans are disengaged at their jobs. 70%. 1/5 of those people are so disengaged, they're actively undermining their coworkers' work. They're literally getting paid to mess things up for the company that they work for. And this is a shame. It's a shame because millions of people wake up every day unfulfilled, depressed, not showing up fully for themselves, their families, their communities, or the world at large. But you know what? The only reason I did have that talk with my boss, the only reason I did quit my job, the only reason I did move across the country to a city I wanted to live in, the only reason I did write a book, the only reason I did start supporting social entrepreneurs, and the only reason I'm standing here right now is because people like Evan held me accountable. Because when you find believers, you find accountability. Because the success symbol for my generation, for our generation, isn't climbing the career ladder, it's doing work that matters. So we're not the me generation. 50% of millennials, that's most of you in this room, would take a pay cut to find work that matches their values. 90% of millennials want to use their skills for good. Despite unprecedented levels of unemployment and student debt, our generation wants to work with purpose. So how do you actually find meaningful work? Well, the second lesson I learned is that you have to stop comparing yourself to others and start pursuing what is meaningful to you. Instead of comparing yourself to others, instead of comparing yourself to everyone on Facebook, start figuring out what it is you want. Don't climb the career ladder to nowhere. Build a career that matters to you. So why are you here? What do you want to do for others? So what makes you tick? Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends on Facebook. What makes you tick? Why are you here? How will you create your own path? Now, Debbie and Ted and Tom, they weren't working 4 hours a week. They were working 40, 50, 60 hours a week on something they cared about. Now, why would you want to automate something that brings you joy? Why would you want to automate something that impacts the world, that impacts others? These people weren't automating, they were hustling. They were working hard on something that matters. I was working 4 different jobs when I was writing a book because I had to pay rent and pay my loans. I'm going to tell the story of my friend Bernat. So I met this crazy guy once in San Francisco. I'm biking home, and all of a sudden this stranger starts talking to me. He's like, "Hey man, how's your day going?" I was like, I don't know, leave me alone, I don't know you, right? He keeps biking alongside me. He's like, hey man, I just got here from Spain, I'm looking for a job. I was like, I don't know you, leave me alone. He keeps biking alongside me and he's like, hey, I just moved here from Barcelona. I'm a UX UI designer, a really good designer. I'm trying to find a job. I've had 6 interviews this week. If I don't get a job, I have to go back to Spain. I need a work visa to stay here in the United States. There's not that many jobs in Spain. I really want to stay. And I was like, well, actually, my best friend was just living in Barcelona. It's a beautiful city. Let me check out your website. And he was like, well, what are you working on? And I was like, well, I'm writing this book. And he goes, well, do you have a cover designer? I was like, no, not yet. So I go home, I check out his website. I was like, wow, this guy's a pretty good designer. This guy's pretty kick-ass. He's awesome. So I was like, hey, Bernat, maybe you could design my book cover. And then I post on Facebook like, hey, just met this crazy guy, Bernat, from Barcelona. Does anyone need a designer? I know a lot of people in startups. Does anyone need a designer? Maybe Bernat can help you. About 5 minutes later, my friend Yi comments. He's like, actually, my friends are starting the startup in Palo Alto. I think there's like 3 of them. They don't really know what they're doing. They're figuring out. They could use a designer. So Bernat meets with this team, they hit it off, he gets hired as their lead designer, it's like a 4-person team. He's super excited, he texts me, he's like, Smiley, thank you, I got this job. And I was like, thank you, man, you made the ask, right? So it goes by, he helps me design this book cover, and then about 6-7 months later, I get a text from Bernat. He's like, Smiley, I'm taking you out to dinner, anywhere you want to go. I was like, awesome, I want to get taken out to dinner, great. So we go out to dinner. I'm like, what's going on, man? What's up? Like, why are you taking me out to dinner? Like, I have some money. I'm a writer. I'm mostly broke, but we can split the check or something. And he goes, well, the company I started working for after I met you. I was like, yeah. They had just been acquired by Yahoo for $80 million. Right? And it's a small team. So Bernat had equity. It was like a 4 or 5-person team. He was one of the first people on the team. And he was thanking me. And I was like, you should thank yourself. You know why? Because Bernat made the ask. He talked to a random stranger on a bicycle in a city that he didn't live in a country that he's not even from. He made the ask. So do not let being a beginner limit your hustle. Take a risk. Sign up for the class. Volunteer. Go abroad. Work abroad. Launch the crowdfunding campaign. Start the blog. Build that website. Make the ask. People will support you when you start working with purpose. That if you find believers now, if you stop comparing yourself to others now, and if you hustle to pursue what is meaningful to you now, you will change your life, you will change the lives of others, and you will change the world. So you can call us idealistic, you can certainly call me idealistic. I mean, my name is Smiley. But we are not the me generation. We are the purpose generation, and we will be engaged with our work because we have to. We can't be stuck in a high school crisis, a quarter-life crisis, a third-life crisis, or a midlife crisis. We can't climb the career ladder to nowhere. The stakes are too damn high. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully that motivated you and maybe lifted your spirits. And if you need a video, go to itsbernard.com.